Hello, my name is Nathan McClain, and I am honored to participate in the Poem I Wish I Read project. Um, and the poem that I'm going to be sharing with you this afternoon is entitled Mountain Dew Commercial Disguised as a Love Poem by poet Matthew Olzmann. And among the many things that I love about this poem, which I have kept with me for a number of years. First of all, the title. It's a pretty fantastic title. Um, Funny and original and humorous. Um, but but I certainly wish that I had read this poem when I was younger because, and certainly when I was like in my teens, largely is because I came to poetry rather late in my life. I was about 19 when I finally came to a love of reading and writing poetry. I grew up in the desert of Southern California, largely in Joshua Tree. And during my time in the desert, much of what we read was rather sort of like more canonical and certainly much older. We read a lot of Shakespeare, many of your metaphysical poets, John Donne, a little bit of George Herbert. We read, Christopher Marlowe. We read Edgar Allan Poe. We read Robert Frost, only a little bit. But all of those poets, with maybe the exception of the Frosts, much of their diction, much of their approach to the poem just made the act of writing poetry and language in and of itself seem rather inaccessible in some ways. And it set, I think, a different kind of expectation for what even a poem was supposed to look like or sound like. Mountain Dew is in many ways granted me a kind of permission to write a very different kind of poem. I love that in this poem, the speaker is charming, the speaker is incredibly disarming. The poem itself is deceptive, and its manner of dealing with an emotion as complicated and as broad as love in any respect. But I also really deeply enjoy, as you'll hear, the poem's sort of control of movement and pacing. Its diction is contemporary, it's original, it's fresh. And I wish that I had these things when I was younger. I had no idea that poems were even capable of doing this sort of thing. And the poem is tonally complex. It manages to modulate between humor. It's at points terrifying. It's wonderfully indulgent at points. And for this and so many other reasons, this poem continues to speak to me. I believe that it was originally published in an issue of Rattle magazine in 2009. And it's a poem that when I was approached about this project, it was the first poem to pop into my head as a poem that I would share with students. So without further ado, Mountain Dew commercial disguised as a love poem. Here's what I've got. The reasons why our marriage might work. Because you wear pink, but write poems about bullets and gravestones. Because you yell at your keys when you lose them and laugh loudly at your own jokes. Because you can hold a pistol, gut a pig. Because you memorize songs, even commercials from 30 years back, and sing them when vacuuming. You have soft hands. Because when we moved, the contents of what you packed were written inside the boxes. Because you think swans are overrated. Because you drove me to the train station, you drove me to Minneapolis, you drove me to Providence. Because you underline everything you read and circle the things you think are important and put stars next to the things you think I should think are important. And write notes in the margins about all the people you're mad at, and my name almost never appears there. because you made that pork recipe you found in the Frida Kahlo handbook, because when you read that essay about Rilke, you underlined the whole thing, except the part where Rilke says love means to deny the self and to be consumed in flames. Because when the lights are off, the curtains drawn, and the additional sheet is nailed over the windows, you still believe someone outside can see you. And one day, 5 summers ago, when you couldn't put gas in your car, when your fridge was so empty, not even leftovers or condiments, there was a single 20-ounce bottle of Mountain Dew, which you paid for with your last damn dime, because you once overheard me say that I liked it. Thank you.